Good evening, ladies. It's been a good few days to be a Solana manlet right now. Solana has been pumping, and in today's video, I'm going to explain why I've made Solana my third biggest crypto position and why I want to make it as big as my Bitcoin and Ethereum positions. Because I personally think that Solana is going to massively outperform both Bitcoin and Ethereum and absolutely destroy all the other alt layer 1s, all the layer 2s, any sort of infrastructure play. I think Solana blows them out of the park in a risk to reward sense. Solana has been getting so much attention on crypto Twitter at the moment. If you're on Twitter at all, you've probably seen all these massive debates, people who are very cultish like on Team Solana and people who are very much on the opposing team, like maybe Ethereum maxis or just generally people who don't like Solana. There's some very strong arguments on both sides, and it reminds me a lot of when I started investing in the stock market. Tesla had that same kind of cult like energy on both the bullish side and on the bearish side. Like the bears were certain that Tesla was going to go out of business, and Tesla probably kind of almost did go out of business, but the bulls were just as certain that Tesla was going to become a $1 trillion market cap company at some point. And yeah, from that point Tesla went on to 30x which is just outrageous for the stock market. Now we get those kind of gains every day in crypto, as we all know, but in the stock market that's like an insane return, and that kind of shows what a cult-like community can do. And the other point of that is that Solana is getting a huge amount of attention right now. Like no one is debating about Aptos, no one is debating about Sui, no one is debating about Arbitrum, no one is debating about Optimism, etc, etc. No one is debating about Matic. No one really gives a shit. Like, to be honest, no one really cares. There's not that much debate about it. There's not that many opinions about those products. And yeah, attention is a good thing. And because given the fact that a lot of people are quite bearish about Solana, means that it's a non-consensus bet. Like right now, Ethereum is a consensus bet. Bitcoin is a consensus bet within the crypto community anyway. These are consensus bet that everyone agrees are going to go up over time. But because they're a consensus bet, they potentially have a little bit less potential returns than something that is non-consensus. So that reminds me of the quote: to make the most money, not only do you need to be right, but you also need other people to be wrong. So how I'm focusing my portfolio for the next cycle, so you can either invest into infrastructure, which has been the play for the last two cycles. So some examples of infrastructure plays include Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin. So these are the crypto rails where the products and the applications are going to be built on. So for the last couple of cycles, crypto hasn't really been focused on creating products. Crypto hasn't been focused on creating new cool applications. It's only been focused on making the infrastructure so that applications can be built on top of it in the future. So we've made the rails now. We have good enough infrastructure where killer products, like product market fit, hasn't really come for crypto yet. But the infrastructure is there for crypto's killer use app to come. Now I'm starting to invest in some of these crypto applications already, crypto products, the likes of Rollbit and Unibot. I've done videos on both of them, but they're just the first examples of some popular crypto products that are doing extraordinarily well because they're crypto products that are popular. Their token price is doing well. And I think any other products, I forgot to mention Friendtech as well. That's another example, but there'll be new crypto applications coming out over the next couple of years. However, other infrastructure plays, like new infrastructure plays, just don't interest me whatsoever. I think all we kind of need are Ethereum, Solana, maybe a few layer 2s on top of Ethereum to make Ethereum usable. And I think all the other ones, like, there will have some use cases. I'm not saying all of them are going to go to zero, but I'm just not interested in them from an investment perspective. And I think Solana is the best suited for some of these killer use case apps coming in the future. Someone asked me recently, are you not worried about all the bag holders that Solana has from the previous cycle? Like once they get to break even, once Solana hits $100, are they not all going to sell? Well, here's a great tweet from Ansem kind of explaining why buying into the shiny new layer 1 or the shiny new layer 2, which has always kind of been which has always worked in the last couple of cycles, why I don't think it's necessarily going to work in this cycle. So basically he's saying in the first tweet, is that all of these new layer ones like Aptos and Sui, they launched at billions of dollars fully diluted market caps straight away. So the upside potential is just, it's just not there whatsoever. Whereas Ethereum launched at a much lower market cap. Same with Solana. The other problem for new layer ones or new layer twos is that it's going to be extremely hard to be faster or cheaper than Solana. Like, there's not really a huge amount of use cases outside of the infrastructure that's already there, if you know what I mean. Now, a few reasons I prefer the investment in Solana rather than Ethereum right now is that if you're buying into Ethereum, you can't just buy Ethereum directly. If you're bullish on Ethereum, obviously you can buy Ethereum directly, but there's also Arbitrum, there's also Optimism, there's also Base, there's all these layer 2s that are going to demand some of the capital that's flowing into Ethereum as well. So the capital has to be spread out among the layer 2s. So you could invest into Arbitrum if you wanted and try and get some upside, or Optimism, or directly into Ethereum. But with Solana, there are no layer 2s that have to take up capital. All the capital, or the majority of the capital, is going to flow directly into the Solana token. To add to that, right now, Ethereum makes up 95% of the market share in terms of development stacks. And basically the thesis is that Solana can take a little bit of that market share. I do believe that Ethereum will remain number one, probably indefinitely, but having such a huge market share is just pretty much unheard of. Like, for even Google search doesn't have a 95% market share. So Solana can take a little bit of Ethereum's market share. Basically, I don't think Ethereum is going to perform poorly in the next cycle. I just think Solana is going to outperform Ethereum. The other thing I like about Solana, like compared to all the other alt layer ones like Avalanche or Phantom, a lot of them use the EVM or the Ethereum virtual machine. They just kind of copied and pasted Ethereum, made a few adjustments to make it cheaper and faster, whereas Solana came up with an entirely new architecture and structure, and they took a completely orthogonal approach. So Solana uses proof of history as well as proof of stake, and basically at the end of the day, the Solana network can't get congested in the same way that the Ethereum network as well as the Ethereum layer 2s can get. Like, even the Ethereum layer 2s can get very high transaction fees, like a few dollars, if it is very busy at a particular moment in time. Whereas with Solana, there's a lot of parallel transactions going through, so you're not going to get these network spikes in gas costs. Now, obviously not obviously, but there is a trade-off with that. The fact that Ethereum's transaction fees are very high are bullish for the token, because not only are people spending more Ethereum to put a transaction through, meaning that they have to buy more Ethereum to actually use the network, because they're going to be putting like maybe 1 or 2% of every trade. They're going to have to spend that and not get that Ethereum back to actually use the network. But also a portion of that transaction fee is being burnt. Now with Solana as well, I think about 50% of the transaction fee is burnt, but the transaction fee is like 0.01 cent roughly, which is minuscule. So a little tiny amount of Solana is burnt with every transaction, but it's pretty much, you don't kind of notice it. It's not like the same deflationary mechanics that Ethereum has, because the transaction fees are so low. So it's less bullish for the token. So for Solana to do well in terms of that kind of way, the number of transactions has to be absolutely enormous, and the number of transactions are obviously a lot higher with Solana, but nowhere near the amount of transaction fees are being burnt with Solana as compared to Ethereum. As we can see here, Solana's transaction fees or / revenue over the last 30 days, which is the right middle column, we can see it at number 28 there, $1.3 million over the last 30 days. So annualize that out, what's that, like $15 million a year? Like, not huge. And in comparisons to Ethereum, that's $68 million. So like 50x the transaction revenue on Ethereum right now in comparisons to Solana. So Ethereum is kind of optimized for Ethereum being money and Ethereum being scarce, which is good for the tokenomics, which is good for the Ethereum price. Whereas Solana is taking a kind of a different approach. They want Solana to be abundant, and people to be able to use the Solana network as much as they want with extreme speed and extremely low fees. And obviously that allows for a lot of different use cases. So essentially what Solana is aiming for is that there's going to be a huge amount of activity on the Solana blockchain to actually make the token valuable. But I don't think that's going to happen straight away in the next cycle. I think a lot of the price increase isn't going to be coming from the fundamental burning of Solana tokens, which is to a certain extent how it works with Ethereum. Like a good portion of the value of Ethereum comes from the fact that some Ethereum is being burnt and people are using the chain, so burning quite a lot of Ethereum. But I still think in the next cycle, the majority of the price increase for Solana is just going to be coming from speculation. People are going to be using the chain. They're going to be like, holy fuck, this shit is so good. This is so fast. And this is unbelievably cheap. I should probably go buy this token. I don't think you should overthink these kind of things. Like, you might not like it, but that's how crypto works. It's at the moment it's still 90 to 95% speculation. And in the future, I think Solana, once it gets this crypto killer use case app, which we might get one or two in the next cycle, but over the coming years, I do think Solana has huge potential to get some of these killer use cases apps. Like, Solana was originally designed, the original idea behind Solana was to put the NASDAQ on the blockchain. So they essentially wanted you to be able to trade the NASDAQ shares with instant settlement, 100% verifiability, and extremely low cost. And that was what Anatoly had in mind in the beginning. But actually, a few other things have taken off in the meantime, and some other use cases for crypto in the future, like Solana NFTs, really took off, which was a huge surprise for the Solana Foundation. But some other potential crypto killer use case apps in the future, some of them have already started coming out, but yeah, none of them have really reached mass adoption or anything. But they include real world assets. DeFi probably will be quite big on Solana in my opinion. Not as big as Ethereum, of course, but yeah, if you just want to take out a small loan and you have to pay like $10 transaction fee on Ethereum to do that, or maybe even $50, considering the amount of transactions you'll need to do, and potentially it's going to be quite a congested network when you want to make that transaction, maybe it'll be a better idea to use it on Solana. I think SocialFi will be big in the future, the likes of Friendtech and Stars Arena, and one of the bigger potential use cases for Solana is gaming. Obviously, with gaming, you're going to need NFTs of your sword, you're going to need NFTs of your skins, and you're going to be making potentially thousands of microtransactions. So you're going to be paying 1/100th of a cent every time you want to interact on this game, which is fine. Even if you do 100 transactions in the game, that's still only going to cost you 1 cent. So that's fine from a gamer's perspective, probably. But I think the biggest use case for Solana right now, and there will definitely be more use cases that we don't know about yet, but I think the biggest, most obvious use case for Solana is payments. And we've already seen this start to really rumble. It's like some rumblings for Solana in the fact that Visa have partnered with Solana to offer USDC transfer through the Visa network using Solana's network. The other big payment integration was that Shopify is using Solana Pay as integrated Solana Pay. So one of the risks with Solana is that Ethereum layer 2s get to really cheap fees and get to really fast speeds much faster than Solana's crypto killer use case apps come out. So Ethereum's final vision is that the rollups, the layer 2s and potentially even layer 3s are going to be the avenue to make really fast and cheap transactions on Ethereum that are eventually settled on Ethereum. Now, obviously, if that happened within the next 6 months, then that would potentially be a bit of a blow to Solana, kind of taking away its like main proposition that it's super fast and super cheap. But I think the likelihood of this is quite low. So Solana has been absolutely sending it over the last few days, and how high do I think it's going to go in the next bull cycle? Like, personally right now, I've just been stacking as much SOL as I possibly can even anything under $30, I'm just putting every spare cent into, as well as some other projects. But the majority of my money is going into Solana. The majority of my spare capital is going into Solana at the moment. But yeah, it's up quite a bit at the moment. It's not gonna rip to $100 overnight. I think we still have quite a number of months to stack Solana. If you're, well, I'm assuming you're interested in stacking Solana if you're watching this video. But yeah, I do think we have some time. I don't think Solana's going to rip, continue ripping indefinitely. It'll probably come back down at some point, but I'm just DCAing. That's how I'm managing my strategy. But where do I think it's going to go in the next cycle, in the next bull cycle? I think the previous all-time high should be an easy enough target, which is about a 10x from here. But I think in a hyper bull scenario, Solana can get to 0.1 of an Ethereum. So if Ethereum got to 10,000 in the next cycle, Solana could get to $1,000. Now that's obviously quite a bullish target. I think the more likely scenario is somewhere in the mid to high hundreds, which would be a very nice return. So I'm looking at anywhere from like maybe $400 to $800. I'm basing this on the fact that I think Ethereum's probably going to go to somewhere between 10 and 15k, and I think Solana can get to, you know, at least 0.05 to 0.1 of an Ethereum. So basically Ethereum has a huge market share at the moment. I don't think Ethereum's a bad bet. I just think Solana is a better one. It's non-consensus, and as the overall entire crypto pie grows, I think Solana actually grows into that crypto pie as well, taking some market share from Ethereum in this smart contract platform space. Alright, thanks a million for watching. Really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.